Hey everybody, it's Scott Detweiler here, back with another Capture One Photoshop live stream thingy that I do typically on Tuesdays, but I had a situation yesterday, which I will talk about during the stream today. It's one of those, hey, little bit of a life lesson for photographers that we should all kind of be aware of. So I'll talk about that in a bit here, but I want to talk about Project Obscura first. So this is an event that we had in Kansas City the weekend before last year. And it was held by H&H Color Lab. So they're my lab. They're the people that print all my stuff. And when I was there, they had this big display. And these are huge prints. So this is probably 36 inches on the long edge. And both of these are images we have made here on this channel. So if you are a member, all those are arguments with these. I believe they're both on the channel. I know this one is for sure. I think this one is. Where I made these and kind of use the textures that you guys get every month. By the way, I completely recognize I did not get the texture out last month, so I'm going to be including 2 this month. So if you're a channel member, you'll be getting 2 free textures. If you're not a channel member, you'll get those textures as well as all the other textures I've released in the past. So I'm hoping that today we have no problems with the lag. I think I figured out the problem, and then I was running a very large backup in the background on my Synology, and I totally forgot about it. And I think that was sucking up a lot of the bandwidth for the stream. So please let me know if there are any problems with the sound or anything along that lines, and we'll go on with this. So today we're going to look at some of the images that I actually shot at Obscura. Now, I was teaching at this event, and we had, I think, 250 people there, and they worked in groups, 6 groups, I believe it was, and we just kind of took every hour or so, they'd rotate, get a half an hour rest. And I think some people walked almost 9 miles. It was very big. It was Kansas City by the War Memorial. And it was all natural light, no strobes. I snuck, again, a sheet from the hotel. I took it back, and I tend to use these sheets quite a bit. So we use them to reflect light around, we use them to scrim, we use them to flag. We do all kinds of fun stuff with them. I prefer the white over the silver because I think the silver is a bit too punchy for me, my personal taste anyway. But most of these don't even have a reflector involved. They just happen to be working under a canopy of trees and kind of aiming so that you're working on the interface between the shadow and light. Now, we had a really great overcast day for most of the day, which worked out wonderfully. So we had really good light. I love overcast light because you can do anything you want to do with it later. Without that strong shadow, it's pretty easy to dodge and burn in a direction of light if you wanted to borrow an asset, for example. So all these are straight out of camera. I didn't do any modification yet. And this is using that same thing I keep ranting about and I talked about there. And by the way, thanks to all the channel members that actually came to the event. So I had Jerry Alt there, I had Carrie Jean there, Kendra Jade was there, and Scott Head was there. So once again, thank you guys for showing up. If there are any that I missed, please speak up. We have quite a few channel members now, which I'm really excited about because you're helping the channel to grow, and we're doing more and more with it. So these are all straight out of camera, and I wanted to work on a couple of these today. Now, I have a whole bunch. These are my selects folder. I didn't shoot a ton. I did a lot more teaching than I did shooting, and I kind of let the students do their thing. However, I did start to work on a few of these, and there's JPEGs in here, which don't belong. I don't keep JPEGs in my output folder at all because we can always make them again if we want to, and it doesn't make any sense for me to keep those around. I like those in a Dropbox. You can see I started to play with this one. I did a little bit of a seminar on how modern technology and different pieces of software can be used to augment into Photoshop. So where would you find all these flowers and assets like this? Well, they're not really there. And I'm still working on making this to the point where I actually like it. It's getting there. But I'm just playing with the idea of adding ground cover where there was none. So that was kind of a fun idea. I thought we would work on retouching this image today of Winter. She's the second time Winter has worked with me for Project Obscura. And it was really cool because her mom sent me a text saying that she was so excited Winter was going to be in my group. And she's an amazing model. And yeah, just brings her A game and a total natural at everything. Now, many of you may look at this and said you would have shot it differently. That's so cool. I was working very, very wide open. I think it was working. No, I was 2.8 on a 1.8 lens. So not as wide open as I could go. And I did lose focus on the back eye. To me, that is not as important as if I keep focus on the front eye. I'm happy with that. I don't worry about both eyes being in focus. I know a lot of people have a difference of opinion there, but that's an artistic difference of opinion and not so much like this is right and this is wrong. And I think you're going to find that in this industry, there's a lot of opinions either way. And what I really loved about this event is all the other instructors, and Miguel Quiles, who also has a YouTube channel, more headshot oriented and more camera gear, not so much what I do on here. He and I and Sal Sincata and the other instructors that were there, we all, Meredith Rinkarts, we all had the same attitude toward certain aspects of photography, which is really refreshing. Because a lot of times when you're at these events, one instructor will say something and another instructor will tell you that this is the wrong way to do it. And you're like, well, no, which one's the right way? You're both telling me that the other one's wrong. And that was not like this at event at all. And I love that because we all sang from the same hymnal. We had the exact same methodologies toward things. We do have different styles and all that, and different things we shoot. Like Meredith is primarily weddings and things like that, and Miguel is more headshot, and I'm more fine art. But that all worked out really well. But we all had the same message underlying that. So we're going to retouch this image today, and we're going to talk about something that I ran into yesterday. So let me get this thing open. I'm going to use now the difference between edit with and open with. I know a lot of people are like, what's the difference? I use recipes most of the time to launch my editing in Photoshop. But once it's a TIFF, like this one is, I really don't need to use this recipe anymore. And I want to open this one back up. You just kind of say that to yourself, I want to open this one back up. I don't want to edit it. This will create a duplicate, and then we'll have another TIFF to deal with. So we want to open the existing document with Photoshop. But that's kind of the way to remember the two. You just simply want to open it. You don't want to edit it. That's the way that I remember it anyway. Grab my Wacom tablet, and we'll continue on. Now, I really didn't talk about the retouching or the adjustments of this image in Capture One because there really aren't any. Most of these images were pretty flat. They're most straight out of camera the way that they are, and they just worked out well. I say using that whole methodology of filling your histogram as far as you can without touching the edge. I mean, that's really a good rule of thumb to go into a situation. Then, of course, adjust accordingly to the situation you're facing. But most of the time, that's good enough to get you most places. So we're going to use frequency separation on this. We're just going to use a standard frequency separation. I actually am going to make a video on the 3 methods of frequency separation that I use fairly often. Because there are a few, and I don't think people realize there's more than one way to do this. And some ways of frequency separation have advantages that others don't. But this is the one that I use most of the time for skin and so on. Okay, so let's talk about being responsible as a photographer. So here's a situation that happened to me yesterday. So today is Wednesday. So Monday, I received a message from a friend of mine that it's been probably about a year since I talked to her last. What is going on with this? So my interface got all screwed up, so I had to go and start over with it. Basically, the toolbar with the new upgrade changed a bunch of stuff. I'm just using the healing brush here. There's nothing really special at what I'm doing. I'm just making sure that there's no distracting elements anywhere. Just very simple. And I'm using the healing brush because I like to make sure that the textures all match and the color of the skin is the same. And there's nothing weird because it's her skin. We're just using different parts of it to cover up any areas. But anyway, so I got a call or a message, I should say Facebook message from a friend of mine. She goes, hey, she has a friend who has just had a biopsy for a lump she found in her breast, and they are doing an emergency double mastectomy. It's like she's under the knife the day after tomorrow, so Wednesday morning. So she's like, can you possibly fit her in tomorrow? I know this is no notice, but she's never had a boudoir session in her life, and she's regretting that now. And this is her last chance to do this. They're gonna cut those off, and then she'll go through the process of reconstruction, and it's going to be a few years, and they go through many surgeries for that. It's super painful, and I can't even imagine. So she said, "Can you fit her in?" And I said, "Sure." And I was able to fit her in right in the morning, and she had a wonderful day, and we kept her laughing and kept her mind off, the impending surgery, which she's in surgery right now. Actually, I just sent her a message. So all well wishes and all that kind of stuff, and see how things go. But anyway, so fast forward last night, I'm sitting at my computer, and I got her images all culled, and I put them up in NView, which is my client review application that I use to send images to people to look at and so on. And really nice too. So people volunteered to pay for her session. Like, she didn't have to pay a thing, and that was really nice. I don't like to discuss money the day of a boudoir session anyway. I don't want to dampen anyone's spirits. So that was really nice. Anyway, I found a thread on Facebook in where the lady who had called me had originally reached out and posted a request for a boudoir photographer for her friend who was in a medical situation and needed a session right away. And I look at the thread and the number of people that replied that don't do boudoir, or they kind of hack at it because it's a woman and they like women and they can take pictures of women because that's what they like. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, do they not understand? This isn't like a game. This isn't like if I screw it up, I'll just have her come back and shoot it again. This is a one and done. Like you either do it right or you're gonna, she will not have the one thing she's asking for, which is, great pictures of her body that she can then look back on, for whatever reasons mentally that she feels this is an exercise she wants to do. I was kind of astounded by the number of people that replied to that they photograph locomotives at train stops and shoot landscapes, or maybe they just shoot models. And there's a significant difference between shooting a mom of 3 who wants a boudoir session and a model. Winter here's a model. She's beautiful. It's hard to take a bad picture of her. But get a person who has had some children and maybe they're not in the shape that they would love to be. They're still beautiful, but you have to be able to capture them without capturing the parts of them that they don't like. And oftentimes women get very persnickety about parts of their body they don't care about, and it just it turns into this situation. Hey Scott, I'm glad you were making it today, man. It was nice seeing you at Obscura. Anyway, Scott had just joined the channel here. Anyway, so I was kind of astounded by the sheer number of people who I do know on that list who should have known better. If someone were to come to me and say, "Hey, would you shoot a wedding for my friend?" That's it's a once in a lifetime event. One would hope. I know I should not shoot a wedding by myself. Like, I would happily second shoot for somebody. And I'm a competent photographer. I can light things, but the event, the pacing of a wedding, all those things are difficult for someone who's never shot a wedding before. And so I will second shoot it, probably second shot, maybe like 6 or 7 weddings. And I have found that over that time, I have learned a lot by watching those seasoned wedding photographers and the way they handle situations that I would never have known. And I see posts on Facebook, and I'm sure you guys have as well, where someone's like, "Hey, I'm going to shoot a wedding for a friend. What camera should I buy?" And I'm like, wow, you're willing to risk their event for the sake of some money? Is that what I'm reading there? That you think, well, I'm just going to take on this event, they're going to pay me, and I'll figure out my camera. Or my friend Michael Mowbray, who runs Molight.com, which is where I get all my strobes for stuff. He says the same thing. You'll have somebody who call up and say, I need a light right away because I'm shooting a wedding and I need to know how to use the strobe. And I'm like, wow, it just blows my mind that you're willing to risk someone's wedding, their big day, because you want the money. I'm thinking, wow, I would walk away from that and say, let me give you some recommendations of some people that I think would be great wedding photographers, and I would love to second shoot for you. Maybe I'll do, some hero shots of the bride and groom or something like that. But I am not the person that is going to keep track of the pacing of the wedding and all those other things you ever get to shoot. Oh, did you get shots of the place settings? Did you get shots of the dress? Did you get shots of the bride getting ready? Did you get shots of all blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, well, I don't think I would have thought of all that. So if you did and you're not a wedding photographer, you're better than I am at it. And I have shot, I say quite a few weddings, but this lady is she's getting a double mastectomy, and these people are like, oh, no, I'll be happy to. And they're like, hey, do you want to drive to Chicago to do it? I'm like, dudes, she is not going to get in a car and drive to Chicago from Milwaukee for a boudoir session the day before a surgery. You can't leave her in a car with her mind in that condition for 5 hours as she drives to do that. So I just think that it was kind of, I don't know, is it just me? Am I wrong here? Am I looking at like, I mean, I'm not God's gift of photography at all, but I mean, I can take a great picture of her. I know I was confident I could take a great picture for her. Was I nervous? Absolutely. It's not one of those days where if you happen to underperform, you're like, it's fine, we'll just do this again. I'll throw a free session at her or something. There are no takebacks, and so I was even a little bit nervous about it. Now, the session turned out wonderfully, and hopefully I'll be able to share some of the scenes with you at some point. She was beautiful, and she obviously had an emotional day of it. And that's the other thing. Normally your person comes in and they're happy, and it's going to be an easy day because they love it. They're there, they're excited. To her, this is like the last hurrah, and in her mind, so it was a very difficult thing to deal with. So emotionally, if you don't shoot boudoir, and as much as boudoir as I shoot, I only had a couple of women that have been in an emotional state during that time, and usually it's because their friend says you have to do this because it'll make you feel better about yourself because they're in a big breakup or something, and you just have to be prepared for that. And you can't ever be prepared for everything, right? But I was just kind of astounded by the number of people who volunteered to shoot that last, boudoir session for that had no clue what they would be doing. They're just like, well, I want the money, and whatever. So I think there's like an ethics and photography thing here. Is it just me? So what do you think? Like, throw me a comment here. I would love to know what you guys think about that. My wife tells me that I'm thinking about it too hard, and I really shouldn't let it get on me, and I probably sound like a dick for bringing it up. And I'm like, well, I don't think so. I think that it's something that most of us would have the common sense to say, I am not your person, but let me find someone who is. Because I don't want to take the onus of, did I screw it up? And then it's my fault. I'm the one who had the opportunity to make her feel amazing about herself, and then I screwed it up, and now the opportunity's lost, so. But anyway, that was just like that was my day yesterday. So I spent probably a good 3 hours with her. Obviously, I extended the session. I extended it for free. I didn't charge her for the extension. We did a milk bath on top of what we would normally do, and I normally charge extra for that. We did bodyscapes on top of that, and I normally charge extra for that as well. And those things I'm just going to totally throw in. So I was like, hey, I feel like, this is your last hurrah, and I'm not gonna let you get out of here thinking that you can't spend any money. That's not the goal of it. Yeah. So Scott agrees with me. He typed in the thing as one of his biggest frustrations. I just can't get past that. And you brought a point, Scott, about finding some muses and practicing boudoir. And that works really great. Like, again, like Winter here, she's beautiful, and it's not hard to take a beautiful picture of her. But find, my wife would call a normal person. It's like find a mom who's had some kids and isn't in the shape that she was when she was Winter's age. And then with confidence, take pictures of her that make her feel really good about herself. And a lot of that is posing, a lot of that is lighting, and a lot of that is experience in how you treat your client, the things you say, the things you don't say, all that works for your advantage. Plus, I'm a guy, and shooting boudoir as a man is obviously got its own challenges. Saying the right thing, but saying it in a way that doesn't make you sound like a complete creeper. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm trying to figure the sound out today, and I think it's because I'm wandering away from my microphone a bit. Let me check this real quick and make sure we're good. No, I might have... Let me turn this off. Just make sure that I'm not screwing that up. I might be ducking that wrong channel. How's that? That might be better. Sorry about that. I might have had that turned off the wrong way. All right, that's probably a lot better than noise-wise. Sorry about that. And thank you for bringing it up. If the channel's sound is ever bad, point it out now, because people commented on it later on YouTube, and there's nothing I can do about it. You can't re-upload a video that was live. So I appreciate the feedback there, Scott. But anyway, so we had a great session. It worked really well, and she couldn't be happier. She was really happy with the images, and she took it's one of those long breaks. You send her the link for the photos, and then you wait, and you're like, hey, do you like them? Like you spent the whole day with me, or a good portion of the day with me, shooting this, and thank you guys. I had one of the channels set for ducking, so the music in the background would be dimmer when I'm speaking, and I think that it was ducking the wrong direction. So when the music would crescendo, my voice would get softer. So I fixed that. Anyway. So she came in, and I'm wondering, like, did she like him? She's really quiet now, and it turns out she was crying. So, which I imagined might be the situation. She's really happy with the pictures, and obviously that makes me feel really good, because it was my one chance to do this and to make sure that I didn't screw it up. And of course, I said, I'm nervous about it too. because you can't redo it. You know, a lot of these sessions, you can feel free to redo it. By the way, I'm just dodging burning. Once you get the majority of the skin done, I will go back. You can always ask questions about what I'm doing here, by the way. I've done this so many times on the channel. I think that people who are regulars get used to watching me do this and like, oh God, he's just going to talk about the same thing over and over again. So I've kind of taken the attitude, I'm going to talk about my adventures as I'm retouching, and then from time to time, talk about what it is I'm actually doing. But if you have questions about what I am doing, I'll always speak up. It's just me working on this, and I'm sure that there are new people to the channel all the time, and they may not know my methodology toward this. But what I do is I do frequency separation first, then I come back and I do a dodge and burn on these areas. And I'm using this really aggressive contrast curve here to find the parts that are light and blotchy or dark and blotchy, like in here. I don't want to make it all the same, but I also don't want it to be so alien that it sticks out amongst its neighbors. So I just kind of make it all look a little more homogeneous, and I think you'll find that this is a huge difference in the quality of the image without a ton of effort. And I'm not rushing today. I'm taking my time because I'm chatting. So yeah, exactly. It is satisfying. Absolutely is satisfying. Because it doesn't take any brains. And I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and like right now I'm listening to, I'm re-listening to Columbus Day, which is a really great sci-fi book if you haven't listened to that on Audible. Anyway, so I got her pictures done, or I should say I posted her in-person sales folder so she can look through them. I normally don't do an online gallery. I would bring the client back for an in-person sales, but in this situation that can't happen because she's going to the OR, or she's actually in the OR. So I sent her a gallery last night after I got them all culled, and she loved them, but you know, she cried, so she didn't respond to me right away. And I was like, I hope she likes them, you know, because I'm all nervous. I'm like, well, she's looking at them now for the first time, and you know, you show her the back of the camera where you're shooting, and you do get a gauge of what the client thinks. Plus, that helps with the attitude. You know, they look at it like, oh my God, I am beautiful. You know, it's like, yeah, you are. You were good looking, and here you go. But you can't, as a guy, say, yeah, you're hot. You know, and then you're like, okay, I'm that awkward guy now. So you got to play the game of showing the back of the camera going, wow, this is really beautiful. Like, this is gorgeous. You know, you can use words like that and it's fine. You know, you don't be specific about the body parts that you think are her assets unless there are situations like, you know, oh, you know, this looks really great. Let's move your shadow this way and cast more in your chest this way. I'm kind of clinical. Let's just put it that way. I'm not like, oh my God, that you're so hot. And then it gets like this. Okay, this is the creepy guy. And that's why I get a lot of women that come back to me again and again, I think for boudoir, because I am a guy and I know what I like. And I would say this side of you or this pose of you, you look amazing in this pose. This is a really good one. Your husband, significant other, or whatever. Maybe it's the ex-husband, you want to make him cry a little bit. This is the pose that does it, you know? And if you communicate that and you do it in an effective way, I think that can be very powerful. But again, you gotta walk that line of your boy and you're shooting, you know, girls. Like, oh, okay, you know, this is the dream job, right? And they know it, and you can't be that guy who's just being the creeper there. You want to be the consummate professional. Anyway, so that went really well. I was really happy with how the session turned out. So, and I've shot 3 boudoir sessions in the last week now since I've been back. I've shot almost all boudoir, and it's been a lot of fun. I mean, I like them because they're satisfying. Like you shoot the client, like you shoot with a headshot, and the client's like, yeah, this will work, or yeah, this is really good. You know, this will look good on my business card, whatever. But you shoot that boudoir session, and that woman is just like, I am good looking. Like, they leave with this different attitude about themselves if you do it right. It's about the experience, not just the photos, but the way they're treated. Like, hair and makeup is there. Hair and makeup stays, by the way, the entire time. And, you know, they're doing the adjustments because that's not my job. You know, my job is to take the photos and to tell what needs to be adjusted, but I don't touch the models. You know, that's not your job. But they'll come in and they leave feeling really good, which is another reason why I never talk about money the day of. Like, all the sessions prepaid before the time they arrive. They have the opportunity to buy more things. I want to leave that open-ended so that if they find that, oh my God, I should have bought the next package up because I love way more of these pictures than I thought I would, you know, then you want to have that open so that they can actually buy more. So I have packages, but the packages also include access to the a la carte menu that I use for high school seniors. It's the same exact product line. I don't. There's some things that I offer for seniors that I don't offer for boudoir, because most people don't need 5x7s and 8x10s of boudoir shots. But yeah, you never know. The ability to offer that is there, but in general, that's not really going to be what you do. It's mostly books for me. I sell a lot of books. I like books because they're leather on the cover. They're what would you call it? Anonymous. Like they can sit in on the bedroom table, and they're not, like neighbors coming over to use the master bathroom. Maybe if the lower bathroom or something is busy, and they know, like, wow, what is this? There's this giant naked picture of your wife who, is downstairs on the wall, which, by the way, does happen. We do sell a lot of those. But books are like the thing that I love to sell. And every boudoir session includes a book of some sort. You have to. It's just the way that it's done. I don't think giving a person digitals and only digitals is proper. They need to display them. And I don't want them sending that stuff to Snapfish or other place like that, or going to Walmart to get their pictures printed. That just seems like I am letting down the client, especially on the privacy concern. Like they're trusting you to take pictures of them and their skivvies, and here you are like, well, we'll just send this to Walmart and, you can go pick it up. No, I think that's a little weird, personally. So you're going to find that I think if you do boudoir, offering a book is a no-brainer. Like most people will buy it, and then it's a matter of how nice that book is. Like, is it got gilded edges, like the gold or silver on the edges? Is it got a thicker pages? Does it lay flat? I use a black leather cover. I don't give other cover options. That H&H gives a lot of cover options for their books, for example, and I don't offer those to the client. I don't think that giving the client decision paralysis is my goal, which could happen. You could have a person who, we are talking about what cover we wanted, and we decided to, wait on it because we really haven't decided if we want the red or we want the white or we want the black or the green, or if we want that leather or the pleather, or if we want a canvas, or we want that linen. We are really undecided. I'm like, why did you do that to yourself? How about you just offer one cover, and then we can deal with what goes on the inside. Like, I do give them a chance to adjust the images that are there if they want to move them around, but I only give them one or two revision opportunities. So you get two chances to change the order of images. You're like, hey, I really want to move this one from this page to this. I'll lay it out initially and say, well, I'm doing it by flow. Just like, well, you wore all these outfits, here we are. Or maybe we'll say all the color ones are together and all the black and white ones are later in the book. I do tend to mix black and whites and colors in the same book because most people like both. And again, they can't decide. So I do give clients the option of some of the images in black and white. I tend not to do all of them because, again, decision paralysis. So I can't decide if I like this one in black and white or color. And now multiply that by every image in the book, and you've got a problem, right? You've got a person who has a lot of images to look at. And if I'm delivering 35 or so images, I don't need a person looking at 70 different images going, well, I couldn't decide between black and white and color, so we're going to wait a couple weeks on that order, and then, opportunity lost. And there's, in sales for photography, there's an emotional attachment to the images. And the longer your client has to look at the images, the more emotionally satisfied they will be with them. That means that given enough time, a client doesn't really need to buy the images because the emotional satisfaction that they get from looking at them is it. And that's all they really need. HMR 638 says he had that last week. She was recently divorced and wanted them for herself. She wanted to feel good about herself. Yeah, you're totally onto it. And I had a client. It was actually a funny story. I had a client who came in. She was 64, I think. Works out at the gym quite a bit. She was super fit. She had a great body on her. And she came in and brought her Harley in. We pulled it up inside the studio and did her session. And then I was like maybe a year later, I ran into her. And she says, hey, I need to get another copy of this big medal. She bought a big medal of the image we shot on her Harley in the studio. And I was like, oh, what happened? Did it fall? Was it hung wrong? Was it dented? I mean, all metals are a little, they're a little prone to, if you mistreat them, they're going to break or look icky, and you can't undo it. You can't pound a dent on a metal. But I really like that medium for most things that are, especially black and whites. And she goes, no, I got divorced, and my husband kept the print in the divorce settlement. And I'm like, why would you do that? Like, hey, here's something you don't have anymore. Just put that on the living room wall. I don't know. So I ended up selling her another one at obviously a discount because I didn't have to retouch the image again. I just had to pay for the substrate. And I think a lot of people too, when you're pricing your work, you're pricing it based on the substrate. We don't care if it's 58 cents worth of photo paper. I mean, really, it's what goes on the photo paper that they're paying for. So if your pricing is based on, the fact that an 8x10 cost $1.78, so you're going to charge $10. Okay, well, that's fine, but you have gear, you have lights, you have your time. And when you do all that math and you figure out that cost, that $10 is a loss. It's a significant loss, especially when you look at retouching time. So if you're going to retouch an 8x10, let's say this takes us 20 minutes, and it probably would. I mean, I could probably be done with this by now if I were actually kind of focusing on it and not taking my time. I'm just enjoying the prattling on and discussing this topic. But you have to consider your time and how much do you want to make for a living, and can you do that? How many $10 projects do you need in order to make, let's say you want to make 50 grand. How many do you have to have in a month in order to make the monthly income that you would need to sustain that? Is it, 200 images that you've got to shoot and retouch in order to make that happen? And I bet you find out that number is a lot uglier than you think it is. And that's the major problem with a lot of people that do shoot and burn, is they just say, well, it's $50, here's 300 images. How many of those do you plan to do? I mean, it's going to take you a while. All right, so here is our frequency separation. Let's turn this on and off. So this is frequency separation on and off. So we just take care of some of the pores here. And there's a few things I still think I want to address. Here on the nose, just going to zoom in a bit. Dry skin. We're out in the sun all day long, so I'm just going to take care of a few of these. And in here, there's a little bit of, I might dodge and burn that. And then here's the dodge and burn. This is again, this is the polish to the whole thing. Look at the difference between this. It's so subtle. If you look at the mask that we use for lightening this is the mask that turned out. And then here's the mask for the darken, which I did a little bit less. You're supposed to do them equally, and I never do, but that's what it is. So, by the way, if you like the stream and you're still here and I haven't put you to sleep yet with my voice, feel free to click that like button. I would appreciate that. So I do need a few other bits of cleanup here. I'm noticing I still have all my layers active, so I still have my frequency separation. So if there's some things I need to fix, I tend to not want to be in this close, but if there's something that's visually distracting and I want to work on it, I don't mind getting in there. You can clean up the eyes a bit. I tend not to. I think that in general, you're probably going to do more harm than you are good. If you're trying to fix bloodshot eyes and whatever. I never brighten eyes, and never is a long time. It's just, it never looks quite right. It's like that is a pretty significant difference, actually. You can see. Now, we do need to do some dodging and burning in the eyes, and that's what this is for. In fact, I should probably just rename this eyes. It's just what I use it for. If the person has their eyes closed, then I don't use this layer. But, so it's the same. You notice these settings don't change. 100% opacity, 1% flow, all day long, every day. And I'm just going to go over the catch lights here from the trees because I like it. I think it's pretty cool. So I'm just sloppily going over. If you look at what I've done so far, it's just this. It's nothing special. Just squirting it on there like this. And then I'm going to make, there's a what's called a moon. So if the light comes in this way, the moon is a circle here, or a arc here with a dot in the middle. And that's exactly the shape we're going to make. So we're just going to go, we're going to swoop a bit. This, and then we're going to take and make a dot in the middle. So it looks just like this. Very subtle, but if you look at before and after, it's significant. But it's believably significant. It's like I don't need her to look like she's a robot. Although, I think that if I was going to shoot a cyborgy kind of looking thing, I could totally do that with Winter here, and it would look great. She's got so much flexibility in her look. And then the last one is this global dodge and burn. This is more or less just shaping or contouring the face. So I'm just going to take... And I just go over and say, well, this side's lit, so I'm just going to go a little bit over here, a little bit off the corner of the brow here, underneath the eye, up the cheek. You can hit it black to do if you want to add some contouring in through here. And then, again, white on the side of the nose here, kind of just giving this... You're almost just lighting the parts that are already lit, right? And darkening the parts that are already dark. But you're doing it selectively. You're not just like spraying it all on there. You're taking your time to do what you want to do. So something like this. And then it just contouring her a bit in the neck area. And the only area I think that's distracting is it's through here still. Like I'm still looking at it going, there's something going on there. Well, it just needs to be lightened and darkened.
So I'm going to try this, but this may not work very well because it is so different. Actually, looks like it's doing okay. If it is that much different when you start, it may shift toward orange when you're working on it. And that starts to look a little weird, which means we have to go and we have to do it with frequency separation. We can't do it with dodging and burning. But I think with how this is reacting so far, I think we're going to be okay. So I'm just trying to darken and lighten a bit so my eye isn't drawn to it. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be something my eye doesn't go zoom and look right here, because it is an area of high contrast. So your eye's automatically drawn to it. Like you look at our eyes and then you look right here. So there we go. That resolved that. So it looks really nice. Now I don't think I need to do really anything else here other than color grade it. So let's save this thing and we'll go back into Capture One and we will color grade this thing. So sorry about not being able to get the stream out tomorrow, but as you heard, I had quite the adventure. So, but I'm obviously had to do it. It was something I felt like I knew I could do a good job on it, and then I think what made me feel really good about the whole situation was the person who posted the thread. Sent me a private message saying, I need you to do this. And I think she saw all the people that were responding to the thread and who they were recommending or whatever. And she's like, this is not going to work. Like, it can't be just these, person who shoots trains at a crossing on a street, and they get out of their car and they take pictures of the train in broad daylight. That is not your boudoir photographer. Yes, they love to take pictures of women in underwear, but if she only has one chance to do this, you can't risk the job. And I would, like, if somebody came to me and said, can you shoot my wedding? I would say, hey, I would be happy to shoot as a second, but I will not be the primary because I know better. I know that I probably cannot do the job of capturing the event. Now, can I light the bride and groom? Yes. Am I world's greatest poser, brides and grooms? No, not at all. And I can fake my way through it, but am I willing to risk their wedding day on my skill set? No, I am not. And so I will freely admit, hey, I'm probably not your best bet for the whole thing, but I'd be happy to come and shoot some hero shots of the bride and groom and light that and work with another photographer on capturing the day. So I add a little blue to the shadow. It's what I tend to like. Mid-tones here. A little bit of warmth. Never hurt anybody. Although I might check out what else we got here. She's really pale. I love her pale skin. It's just really, really nice. So we're going to give her a little D vitamins here by moving it up a bit. Highlight wise, I'm probably not going to add anything here because I think it's a little bit aggressive usually. And then master, I would add maybe an overall warmth to it. I love this master. The difference between the master and the highlight is the master controls the exposure as well. So if you look at this curve when you're playing with this thing, you'll notice that it is significantly pushing this around, which I think is pretty cool. So it adds just a little bit of brightness that maybe I would have been a bit shy to add initially. And I don't really care if I clip here so much as long as where I'm clipping isn't important. You can use your exposure warning to find out where that is. And hey, look at that. The metal's reflecting the sun. So if you think to yourself, maybe I should try and recover these highlights, I would tell you that is probably not a great idea. If you're reflecting the sun in the windshield of a car and you're trying to bring that highlight back, it's going to look weird when you do that, right? Because it's the sun. It's the sun. Yes, it's a reflection of the sun, but it's still the sun, and you're not going to be able to get it in gamut. So if we play with this and we try and bring it back, we might be okay. But am I damaging the rest of the picture? Maybe. So what I would do is I'd probably create a new layer here. I use my linear gradient, and I would bring it up just a bit like this, and say in here I'm going to try and lower the highlight. But I don't want to pull it off her face because I don't want to lose this part here or the part in her nose or any of these other parts. Actually, I see part on her lip here that I missed. So what I like to do is take this global dodge and burn. I'm actually using my mouse to do this, so it's super awkward. And just add a little bit of a highlight in through here. I think that adds this little bit of fullness to the lip. She doesn't need it, but it just adds a little bit of glint there. Do I even like that? I think I do. I'm going to save it. Oh, the bird. So So anyway, so I if I'm going to worry about trying to catch the reflections of the sun in jewelry, just be aware that you can damage the rest of the picture by trying to be so aggressive at pulling the sun into gamut. That's just tough. And realistically, in a lot of situations, it is not in your best interest to do so. If it doesn't affect the portrait up here, I don't care that this is out of gamut or blown out. I really don't. I mean, I'm worried about this. This is blown out. That's the part we're here for, is the face. I don't care about the necklace so much. All right, and so I've got that done. Now I want to do is, we're going to use one of those fancy new style brushes, and I created a couple custom ones here, an eyes one and a hair details one. So for eyes, I just wish there was a scrubby zoom inside of Capture One. Can I just say that again every time? All this does is, we look at it, it's a simple, I have to make it first. You have to make a mark with it before it'll create its layer. So I just want to go over the lashes here a bit, and then just over the iris a little bit. So my mask looks like this. It's just, come on, Capture One, you can do it. Mask looks like this. It's nothing to write home about. But what it did is it adds a little bit of classic clarity and a little bit of structure. So if I hold on my Alt key and I click on before and after, you can see what it does. That little bit there adds just a little more interest to the eyes, which helps with, if you're going to print it, it just looks better when it's done. I don't tend to sharpen my images before I print them unless it's going on a specific type of media. I do like it on a glossy paper, for example. I like it a little sharper. If it's going on watercolor, I don't sharpen it. I don't think that's that look is what I want. Again, personal preference. All right, then I'm gonna do hair, and again, this is just a clarity adjustment. There's nothing else to it, and I'm just gonna go over the hair. And this is going to, I think it's using the punch, and punch contains a bit of a saturation boost, so that's why this hair looks like that. And she's very proud of her color here. I'm going to hit M to see the mask, and I'm going to make very sure that I don't lead my brush into the background, because that will create a halo around the hair, which gives away what we're doing. Same with the skin. I don't want the saturation of the skin to look weird. And you see these masks are always like really roughed in here, and people are like, how can you get away with that? And it's because it isn't, I'm not trying to be accurate with it, and it is very difficult for your brain to kind of put together that there's something going on there. And this is a bit aggressive, so I may come back here and so you can see what I'm doing here. This is normal, and I want a little bit of it. So it's just to add a little bit of more texture to the hair. We could also go and do that in Photoshop as well. We can actually use this whole eyes layer or this layer, and you could take and add kind of a swoop across the highlight band here. Now, I don't think in this case it would be appropriate. I think it'll look kind of weird. But again, it's just another tool in the chest, and you pick what it is you'd like to do. But there we go. That is the before and after. Also, that's the before of winter. What number is this? Is 4477. So we'll go here to all image and go Control F. Tilde first. 4477. There we go. And what is that? I don't know. Yeah, Capture One, you've been driving me a little wacky lately. Let's just say that. Anyway, if you hold on your Shift key when you zoom, both images will zoom simultaneously, which is really nice. I don't know what that's about. But anyway, so that's our before and after for what we worked on today. And I think that's pretty pleasing. As far as the color grading, look at this image on this effect. Let's just get rid of this image over here. This is what we did for color grading. So I warmed it up just a bit, and then we went and added some details with the hair. We recovered the highlight on the necklace. We can turn this off. We don't need exposure warning. And you can see the amount of dark, say, lightness that's missing in here now, that it cost me to recover that. And I don't think it's that big a deal. I think it helps with the brightness, but I want to make sure this doesn't look dingy either. So I might actually go back and say that is just a bit on the aggressive side. So this whole highlight recovery may not have been my best plan. So again, do I care that that's blown out? I don't. It's the sun. So don't try and prevent the sun from, or I say, don't wreck your image trying to bring the sun into gamut, right? It's probably not going to happen. Anyway, well, there you go. So that's my stream for today. It's overdue. I know that I had to miss a couple weeks there. I'm going to try and get a couple more streams done. And I'm going to start doing a little more pop-up random streams because I'll be working on an image. I'm like, I think people would like to see this. And in my mind, I'd rather do it as a live stream than to create a video and then upload the video and cut out a bunch of stuff. And I think that you guys like to watch the process. Maybe you just want the cliff notes on some stuff. Let me know. Like, I want to try and help you. So you tell me what are the best ways to pass this information to you. If you'd like more shorter videos with just the points, or if you like these rant and diatribes that maybe if you're having trouble sleeping that you could listen to this and put yourself to sleep with it. That would be helpful. Anyway, well, that's what I have for today, guys. So I'm going to try and actually get a stream done this weekend, I believe, as well. I'm going to be home. My wife's off on a road trip again, so I will be sitting here working through images. And if they're ones that I can share with you guys, because obviously boudoir clients, depending on their privacy level, don't let me share those things, I can't. But if they are things that I can go through with you, I would love to do so. So you let me know and in the comments below, and I will certainly try and help out. So everybody take care.